topped by a crumbling stone horse, and its tiled rooftops that butted and jostled one another, a cat's highway down to the river. I knew those roofs and streets as well as my own body, and nowhere better than the Osteria, the oldest inn in Córdoba. I believe I was born there, or at least was left there soon after. The Osteria's flaking plaster walls absorbed the sound of my first cries. The draught through its cracked windows was the breath that soothed my fevers. The groan of its floorboards was a grandmother's voice, murmuring a lullaby. The clanking of bedposts and the snores of countless men were the familiar sounds of my childhood years. I had been at the inn longer than anyone, except for Mama Morales. Once I made the mistake of asking whether she was my mama. She had looked at me with such contempt that I knew the truth immediately. I did not belong to people, to mother or father or family. I belonged to the inn, like the cats born in the stable that lived and died too soon amongst the hay. I sometimes worry it could still get me into trouble, this talk about the inn. But it seems so small now, so distant after everything else. I'll never go back to Córdoba, and anyway, you already know that I didn't kill the man. It's the rest of it that could be dangerous for me. What came after? The only other person who knew it all is dead and gone. Perhaps, at last, I have kept his secret for long enough. I drowned it at the bottom of cocktail glasses and buried it beneath the scrapings left on silver platters. I tied it with white silk and hid it in plain sight. I held my tongue, kept 50 years of silence. Even he could not have asked me for more. Of course, if he had, I might have given it. But he's not here, is he? Perhaps silence is no longer the answer. Perhaps this is a story that should finally be told. And, after all, I've already begun. Tangier, July 1978.
Are you sure there's nothing else? There's rien. For Hackett. H-A-C.
Metronome steady. The man shook his head.
No. You're certain? Vous êtes sûr? Oui, monsieur.
Sam dropped his chin, staring at the scuffed wooden countertop. The room was dim and sweltering, a fug of cigarettes and the more pungent smoke from joints of kief. It made it hard to concentrate, hard to do the mental arithmetic required. He couldn't afford a bribe and, anyway, shouldn't need to give one. He never had before, not for a letter. He stared at his hands. They were not exactly clean, veins standing out from the heat. One of the cuffs was stained with tar from some boat or beach or railing.
S'il vous plaît, he said again to the man at the counter. Could you double-check? Hackett, Samuel, there should be something.
The man gave him a look, between irritated and perplexed. He called over his shoulder into the main postal office, beyond the honeycomb of wooden pigeonholes. Sam waited. The official turned to the next customer and was soon arguing over a handful of papers. The post office was full, as always. There never seemed to be enough time during opening hours for the workers to be anything other than harassed. He leaned on the counter, feeling sweat trickle down his neck. An electric fan whirred above, doing nothing to cool the air. On the other side of him, a man wearing a long striped jalaba began to roll a cigarette.
Hackett?
The word was repeated several times, until he realized it was his name, the consonants strange and full of angles. A postal worker was holding something small and pale blue.
Yes.
He moved so quickly the man in the jalaba flinched.
Yes, Hackett, over here.
The letter was thin, flimsy as carbon paper. A miracle it had made it across a vast ocean in one piece. He moved aside and tore at the red and blue chevron edges, opening it carefully.